Join Samantha and Hans at the next Macro to Micro Options Power Hour held each Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Registration is free. Scan this QR code or click on the link in the description.
The other day, I did a big piece for clients, which is Friday night when everybody was, I don't know, watching movies or date night or I'm online doing my market thoughts. And this is basically what hit in the wires, that Trump signed an executive order, which is actually a big deal. Now, the market didn't react, except we did gap down on Monday morning sideways, and then we gapped up again today because China's still buying. And by the way, even though U.S. is going to be, investors are going to be disincentivized, it's much more targeted to China investment in the U.S. So I did say, hey, protect China longs. I think that matters. If you're highly leveraged, like, for example, Jeffrey is 100% year to date in his portfolio trading China names. Jeffrey's our macro advisor. He's a classical economist. He's very, 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 very focused in value. Now, that he doesn't know, he hasn't even looked at this yet. I actually pointed this out to him yesterday and said, well, what do you think about this? So he said, okay, we're still extremely oversold in China plays. He's up 100%. He has gone to IBKR to buy Hong Kong exchange stocks, not the Chinese ADRs that the rest of us are playing, like the BABAs and the option market. So he's in a very different kind of, he's going with the market overnight in Asia, not necessarily what we're waiting for is the next morning to see what happens. Okay, so he's gone direct via IBKR, and we can do that as well, but just kind of keep that in mind. This is actually a big deal, this executive order, and money will start to go home. There's no question that that's kind of Trump's national security directive, is to get the China influence out of not just farmland and U.S. companies, but also stock market. And it will have a hit on U.S. treasuries, not all at once. That'd be very, globally recessionary. But the point is, it is a thing. It's a thing. So I think what it matters about this whole introduction is that, or lots and lots of words spent, is that we have a situation where U.S. investors and hedge funds who are excited about the overvalued nature of China sector rotation versus undervalued versus the overvalued U.S. high beta stocks, the Mag 7 and the like, are now going to have to think about this because we didn't have the same type of risk before Friday night. And I'm not one, and believe me, I studied this whole thing for 3 years after we came off the 2021 peak, all that delisting nonsense and the uninvestable China nonsense. This has been a solid theme for a year. So we got clients that have made buco bucks. I've been very focused on this, et cetera, until Friday night. So it's good to be risk aware. So my concept is China's still going to likely have its parabola. Anybody who's seen my China, monthly chart, they're in play. That's it. It's in play. China via Hong Kong. You can go to IBKR, go do your thing there. But as it relates to U.S. issues, there will be some disincentives for funds to hold long and strong. I think that's going to be kind of the gist of it. Right now, they're ignoring Trump. Right now, they don't care because they're making money, hand over fist. The options market isn't pricing it in, et cetera, et cetera. But I think at some point, this will come home to roost. And I don't mean delisting because, by the way, China did this immediately back in 2022. They went through the process of bringing these Chinese issues back into the Hong Kong market. So that's where they're being traded. We get the derivatives. We get the NAV difference, right? Like the MSTR and Bitcoin. We're trading these ADRs that are actually trading in Hong Kong. So they already did what they needed to protect their investment. We need to do the same. So I think it needs to be taken seriously, but obviously it's early and nobody's reacting to it right now. So it is what it is.
That's really interesting. Wow. Somebody's asking, is KWeb also exposed to this risk? Well, yeah, I imagine it would be.
Yes, and because what's happening is that the KWeb is mostly China Tech and FXI, and by the way, EEM, those are all ETFs and highly recommended, by the way, by LaDucTrading, myself specifically. But I know they should be less busy, but that's what I'm looking at, is every release that comes a Friday night, I'm looking for Trump headlines. Anyway, this is the risk, but we knew this. Focus is going to be very much on Chinese investors, whether they're individuals, companies, or the CCP, I don't care. Their investment in the U.S. ecosystem, from land to buildings to businesses to equities and treasuries. We're talking about the whole kit and caboodle. So I've written about that. Now, the knock-on effect, of course, course, is Trump is pushing U.S. not to invest in China. China just said, hey, you're welcome to come in now to our manufacturing world. You're welcome to partner with us. And Trump is saying, no, no, no. And that includes investments. But no order has been given to stop Americans from investing. Obviously, this is an order. There's lots of execution and implementation and stuff. All this is early. It literally just hit Friday night. So the biggest one is going to be tax treatment against China investment, not necessarily U.S. investment in China. We're going to have a lot more to talk about in this regard, but I would just say be risk aware. It's actually, I mean, we're talking Trump is trying to negotiate removal of China from the most favored nation trading status, not to mention the World Trade Organization. He's going after the jugular as it relates to creating revenue from restrictions on China investments, forcing China money and people to go home. I mean, this is a big deal, but nobody's looking at that. They just want to know about NVIDIA guidance.
Right. But remember, the market's male, Samantha. It focuses on one thing at a time. But that's your job, right? Your job as an astute woman is to think of the other 17 things. And on Friday night, somebody said Trump is your date night on Friday night. So there you go.
Join Samantha and Hans at the next Macro to Micro Options Power Hour, held each Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Registration is free. Scan this QR code or click on the link in the description. Watch the full Options Macro to Micro Power Hour episode by clicking on the video here and subscribe to LaDucTrading YouTube channel for more content.